Welcome to another Roboflow training movie. In the previous training movie, we created a workflow that assigns files to existing records in a Cumulus catalog. You can find how I created it in a YouTube movie called Canto Roboflow Assign File to Record. Or you can just register to my channel on YouTube. This workflow was working on this one catalog, and it ingested 3 files assigning the record to it, the file to it. So it assigned this file to this record based on the fact that previously it was created as an empty record and somebody typed in the value car1. Now in this workflow we want to assign a label. First of all, assigning a label and then moving the record to the live catalog, the product library. I want to assign a label based on the resolution. This file is a 72 dpi, this is 72 dpi, and this is 350 dpi. So I want to assign a label to it and then move the file to the final catalog. There are several ways of doing that. In the old Roboflow way, we probably would create a hot collection workflow searching for records with a certain below a certain DPI and then assign the label. Then we would have a second workflow, and then we would have a third workflow doing the move. 3 workflows for one purpose or one target functionality. Here we are going to add it to this existing workflow. So this existing workflow, once it has processed the files and cataloged the files, which we do in this step. Let me make this a little bit bigger, like that. So here in this workflow, it opens the catalog, it stores the file name without extension, it does a find for any records with that particular DFU code equals to the name without extension, and if the record is found, it stores the path to the target folder it wants to copy the file to. It copies the file and then here actually store part of file as text we don't need, and here it processes the records found here in this process and it sets it to the copied file and it updates the record so that all the field values are read, like resolution, etc. Now the next thing we can do is we can store a field value. So here we can say new. I have a record, so I'm going to use a Cumulus record and I'm going to store a record field value as text. The record field value comes from the my record and the field name is called horizontal resolution. So I can type it in, I can type the GUID, but in this case I'm just going to select it and I'm going to say horizontal resolution. And I must have jumped it already. There it is. And I can say resolution as the name of this field. And as I mentioned in previous movies, it's always a good idea to comment on every instruction, on every action. So now I've stored the value, so now I can test on it, and I can say new conditional, and I want to test the text I've stored. Okay, and then we will see what happens. Okay, I can say resolution, and text ends with no, text greater than 299. Now there will be a little trick or problem here that we will have to keep in mind, is that we are working here with a text, and a text is of course not the same thing as an integer or a long, or so it could be that we will have to prep, we will have to do some additional text formatting on this to be sure that we are always talking about the same file, the same format, because technically 299, if you compare that to 72 text, in text comparison, this would mean that 299 is bigger than that 72 is text-wise, in text comparison, is bigger than 299. But we will figure this out when we build this workflow. I'm first gonna do it like this, so resolution greater than 299, and then I can say test if greater than 299. Good, and I add this to the comment as well. Good, like that. So now I'm testing that, and if it's greater, I'm going to set a label value. So I'm doing here record, and I set record value. Okay, what value do you want to set? Record, the field I want to get, the catalog I want to get it from, and it's called label. There it is. Okay, and now I forgot something. I can only set a value if the value is I can only set a value if the value was stored before. So we have to get that stored before. So what I do is new, and I'm going to store text. Remember, I have to click here to get to my text actions, and then I'm going to click here to say store text. What do I want to store? Actually, I want to store the text I want to store is the color. I want to set it to green. If it's I want to set it to green. Let's go to label. If it's 300 dpi or bigger, and otherwise I'm setting it to something else. So what I do here in the field editor, I can see that the ID of this color is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So green is ID 4 and yellow is ID 3. So I'm going to remember this. And going back to my workflow, I'm going to say hash 3. That means 4. That means I'm going to set it store text for color green. Okay, so I can set the text for color green, and then I can set the value, edit, and the value is going to be set from, sorry, I forgot to give it a proper name. I don't want to call it store text, but color green, color to set. I'll show you why I'm doing this in a second. I'm going to say here that I'm going to set the color. Color to set. Okay. Now, else, otherwise, so conditional test else, and I'm saying here record found greater than 299, else. So if it's not set to 299, I'm going to set something else. And what am I going to set? Well, actually, I'm just lazy. I copy this and I can say paste, and it just adds it underneath. And now if I edit this, I'm going to say I'm setting this to color 3. Why did I not call this variable green or blue or yellow? Because I wanted to have the same name in both cases, because I don't want to repeat this instruction. I'm actually going to put after the setting of that variable, I'm going to set the color like this. I only need that instruction once. I set the text I want to set here or here, give it the same name, and then here I use that value here, color to set, to be able to set color of label field. Okay. So set record field value. And then the final step is that I will be moving this to another catalog. So to move that to the other catalog, I have to open the catalog, Cumulus catalog, and I have to open it. Okay. And it's this catalog, and I'm going to call it target catalog. And I'm adding my comment. Good. Open catalog. And then I'm going to do something with the record. I'm going to move the record. So which record? This is the record. Where? Which catalog? Target catalog. Which action? Move record. Permission template is depending on the catalog. And what name am I going to give this? Moved record. Move record to product library. And after I've moved it, I can say new conditional, no, just Cumulus catalog, close catalog. Which catalog? Target catalog. And that's it. That's how it would work. Very simple. Just adding the actions you need in your workflow. Always remember to click OK here. Sometimes for longer scripts it's a good idea to halfway through click OK and save it, because if you're bothered by a phone call, or this is a web interface, so it can lose connection due to a timeout or whatever. So it's always a good idea to save it from time to time. I prepared the catalog with 3 empty records with a DFU code car1, car2 and plane 1, and I dropped 3 files in my drop folder. So now I can see if he correctly assigns them just by starting the workflow and having a look in the client what it does. It processed the 3 files. 2 of them became yellow labeled and one became green labeled. Why? Because this one has 300 dpi, 72, 72 and 350. Now in the original test I ran, this did not work because, as I said previously, I'm getting the resolution as a text value and 299 is smaller than 72 in a text comparison. So what I had to do is I had to, here when I was getting the field value, here I'm storing the field value resolution. This returns me something like 350.0. So what I do at that point, and I can show you in the log, is I get 72 dot, and then I manipulate it that I throw off the part behind the comma, then I add 5 zeros in front of it, and I say that I want the last 5 characters, which changes this into this, and then I compare it with 00 to 99. So I know exactly what my text comparison then will look like. Here 350 becomes 00350. Quickly have a look in the script how I did that. Here I first store the field value. Then for my test purposes I added a notification that I write this text to the log. That's why it appears in my log. That helped me debug it. Then I store the left part of the resolution, everything left of the comma, of the decimal point. I lose the part behind the comma, and I store it in the same variable name. Then I add 5 zeros in front of it, so I store the text. I get the current resolution, I just put 5 zeros in front of it, and finally I store a subpart of it. I say, normally you have to say from character to character, so you could say 0 is the first character, 0 semicolon 3 means that you get the first 3 characters of that string, but I want the last 5 characters, so I can specify here -5, which says to this flow, give me the last 5 characters, and I store it again in resolution, and that's what creates from 350 00 350, and from 72 000 72. And then in my test I modified that I don't test to 299 but to 299. So that's how to build this workflow. I hope this can help you build your own workflows, and hope to see you in a next training movie.